The screen door on the back of my house has seen better days, and I guarantee that all those better days were before my 2-year-old accidentally pushed through the screen and then figured out that he could just go right through it. Consequently, the whole screen's all coming apart, the door's falling apart, and it needs fixed. In some respects, I'm pretty fortunate in that I don't live very far from town. I think the next nearest big name hardware store is 5 or 10 miles away. It doesn't take too long to go down there, but I like to try to live life as though I do live a long ways from town. I hope to live a long ways from town at some point, and it's just good training. Plus, it saves some time, saves some fuel to be able to fix your own stuff. A screen door is far from being a life or death necessity, but it sure is nice to be able to open up the back door and let the breeze come through and not the mosquitoes.
I might be all by myself in this, but until I looked into it, I always just kind of assumed that screen was held in place by hopes and dreams and a little bit of fairy dust and a little tiny piece of magic. But it turns out there are no fairy dust particles, no magic. There's a bit of hopes and dreams. But let me show you how a screen is held in place, and most screen is held in place by this method. In place of magic fairy dust, when it comes to screen doors, is this stuff. This is kind of rubberized, well, it's not rubberized, it's rubber, kind of cord looking stuff, and if you look closely, I don't know if you can see it or not, it's kind of ridged. Now what happens to keep this whole screen business together is the screen goes across this little channel in the bottom of the door, or all the way around the door for that matter, and this cord stuff gets shoved into the channel, and you have a friction lock that just holds it all together. There is a proper tool for doing this. It looks like this. However, of course, I don't have one because I very rarely put screen in windows, so I put a little bit of thought into the principle of it, and here's what I've got. I've got a little stick that I've curved the edge of, and I think it'll work. A couple of principles real quick. You need to work ends first. So if you're putting a new roll in here, a new roll of screen in, you want to do that end, then this end, and then you do the edges. And likewise with your rubber cordage stuff, wherever it went. When you're putting it in, you want to start with the ends of it. And in this case, my cord is somewhat shrunk. It's been out of the groove for a little while. So I'm going to start it there with my super cool little tool. Then I'm going to stretch it and lock in the other end. All I'm doing with this little tool is I'm just rocking it as though it was a little wheel rolling. And it's pushing this stuff right into the channel. Even get a little frisky and just push it along. And that pushes it in pretty well also. Doing it this way is a whole lot quicker than doing it with a flat screwdriver. Ask me how I know.
I'm going to go ahead and repeat the process, just pushing down the channel on both sides here. But I wanted to mention real quick that although I'm doing this, I'm just reinstalling screen in a door that got pushed out. If your screen itself is torn up, as long as the frame of your window screen or screen door is still in good condition, you can get a roll of this stuff pretty inexpensively at ye old dry goods and general store on your monthly journey in a covered wagon, and the whole process will be just the same, only you'll be rolling it out and putting it over the channels before pushing in the cord. As I'm going along here, I noticed something kind of neat. When the screen was popped out of this, these little cross pieces here were just floppy, like there was nothing holding the little clip in place. It just slid up and down the rail of the door, and I just chalked it up to a bad design. But as I'm putting this back together, I see that once you put the screen in place, you put the little rubber channel stuff back in there, it's actually part of the friction lock, and it holds this guy in place. There it is, fully screened back in. Next move, we'll go reinstall it. And now for the coup de grace installation. It's always served me pretty well to do the very top and the very bottom screw first when you're hanging a door like this. The top, that takes the weight off. The bottom holds the bottom in place, and now all you have is the remaining 7 screws to put in, and the door's already held in place. And I now have, once again, a bug-proof, cat-proof, toddler-resistant screen door. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.